The city of Doral is rapidly expanding, and on Wednesday, the commission passed an ordinance that would allow them to look into future rezoning plans after some citizens voiced their opposition. Construction is almost over here on campus. The Thomas P. Murphy Design Studio building right behind me is expected to open this spring of 2018 as its newest addition to the School of Architecture. Its studios can accommodate up to 120 students, and it includes state-of-the-art technology. A social media post that has gone viral has caught the attention of drivers across the nation. The newest scam? Placing hypodermic needles behind gas pump handles, quite like this one. Some sources reveal that these needles do have the potential of transmitting the HIV virus. Notebooks and school supplies are some things you might expect to see inside of a student's backpack. However, after recent school shootings, concerns have arisen, and some schools here in Florida are no longer allowing students to bring backpacks into the building. Opioid addiction kills an average of 14 people per day in the state of Florida. Today, doctors tell us exactly what plans are in store to help those suffering from opioid addiction. Following the shooting at Stoneman Douglas High School, students from across the nation have united in protests. Over the past couple of weeks, tens of thousands have marched and walked out of class to demand legislative action for gun violence. The Never Again movement has been seen in every state in the nation. Some students chanted, "We want change," during the walk, and others carried signs that read, "Protect students, not guns."
Chantel?
Thanks, Brianna. That's right. Our Canes volleyball team is dressed from head to toe in pink in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And they're not the only ones. If you look out into the stands, we have a lot of fans that are also enjoying the pink gear, as Category 5 is providing free pink t-shirts, free pink towels for everyone to be a part of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Tonight, breaking news: an active shooter opening fire in a police training session in Richmond, Virginia. Tonight on Sports Desk, baseball player Michael Burns shares the story behind his battle to get back onto the field. The back-to-back ACC indoor champions prepare to take their talents on a national level, and Miami beats Duke at home, marking their third win in the last 4 years. All that and more, Sports Desk starts right now. Good evening and welcome to Sports Desk. I'm Chantel Batista.
And I'm David Perez. Chantel, they call Mark Richt Mark the Shark for a reason, as the Canes got ranked #1 yesterday in the 2018 recruiting class rankings.
That's right, David. I heard about that, and the future is looking brighter and brighter for the Miami Hurricanes football team. New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski is always in the headlines for the noise he makes on the field, but on Wednesday, Gronk crashed the party and made the news in Washington. The White House got a visit from the Patriots to celebrate their Super Bowl championship on Wednesday. But as the team followed their tour, Gronkowski made a personal stop at the White House press room. Gronkowski opened the doors in the middle of a daily briefing and jokingly asked Secretary Sean Spicer if he needed help. While Spicer said no, social media said yes, with the video going viral over the last 2 days.
The University of Miami is home to a diverse body of students with stories waiting to be told.
That's right, so our reporter Trayvon Howard set out on a mission to find and tell some of these stories in a segment he calls Stories of the U.
There is more than one shooter.
Crime scene tape and bullet holes are common images in the news today. Regardless of this trend, Florida legislators are proposing a law that would allow concealed weapons on public college campuses. Attorney and law school professor Dr. Marianne Franks explains this law.
There are certain places where people with concealed carry permits cannot carry their weapons, even though they have a license to carry them in other places. What the bill would essentially do is take schools off of that list. Concealed carry permits, at least in Florida, are really, really easy to get. It doesn't mean that you have great training. It doesn't mean you know a lot about safe storage. It doesn't really do anything for you other than give you permission to carry a weapon. And we can imagine all the things that happen on college campuses. People get upset about grades. They get upset with each other at parties. They get drunk. They have sex. And now you've got a lethal weapon somewhere nearby.
Some hold a different view on guns and believe that with the proper training and education, guns may provide protection for students.
It's an inanimate object. It doesn't do anything. People do bad things, and we need to put the blame where the blame lies. I believe in the right to carry, to bear arms and all that, but I do think that there should be training that comes along with it. You want to see how good gun control works? Ask guys like Hitler, Pol Pot, Mao Zedong, and Joseph Stalin. They will tell you exactly that gun control works. Once you disarm the people, you can then go and slaughter millions, as each one of them have done.
Commander Fernando Villa of the Hialeah Police Department favors an increase in police presence on campus versus arming students.
The more weapons, the more problems. It's just a simple recipe. You're creating more of a problem by allowing students to bring weapons into the campus. Students don't have to bring guns to campus to feel safe. Really, that's our job. The officers do not have a crystal ball to find out what's going on. Students cannot help.
Students are caught in the crossfire when it comes to the proposed law, and many of them are vocal about the possibility of their fellow classmates having loaded guns on campus.
I feel like having guns on campus would create more security, but it would also create like a sense of fear within other people.
If you feel like you need to bring a gun, that means the campus isn't doing its job to make you feel safe, and that's something you need to take up with administration.
I'd be afraid. Like, I'm from Southside Chicago, so I know what violence is. I know what being strapped up needs to be on the streets and stuff. I feel like it's not necessary on college campuses. I feel like being able to depend on our FIU police are the people that are supposed to protect us is enough.
Franks, who has testified against the law, conducted research on the accuracy of shots fired by trained enforcement officials. Her conclusion was quite surprising.
The New York Police Department has a 30% accuracy rate when they are firing, and that's when no one's shooting back at them. When they're actually being fired upon, their accuracy rate goes down to 18%. And we're being asked to imagine that a civilian, a student, someone who's fairly young, who's maybe had 2.5 hours of training, and that training may have never actually involved shooting a weapon, that somehow they're going to become a superhero in that moment.
If this becomes reality, it is predicted to cost Florida colleges $74 million on investments towards college campus security. Florida legislative branch session begins on January 12, 2016, and this bill will be the first one to hit the House floor for a vote. Will students be packing more than just books in 2016? Only time will tell. Have you ever seen someone walking around campus wearing a Seminole Indian jacket, or a group of people beating drums by the green? This is the Iron Arrow Society. It is known as the highest honor for a Miami hurricane. The drum and fire bowl are a part of this tribe's ritual on tapping day. Iron Arrow is the first and oldest tradition on campus. It began in 1926 with the founding of the University of Miami. Our president at the time, Bowman Foster Ash, was the founder. Ash started Iron Arrow with the founding 9 men. The current chief says Iron Arrow is not something that you apply for, but instead something that you are nominated for.
What we look for when we're looking to select people into Iron Arrow is if they meet the 5 criteria, and those consist of the love of alma mater, humility, character, leadership, and scholarship. It's not just one category. You kind of have to have a little bit of everything. So are you passionate about the school? Do you love the University of Miami? Do you have good character? Do you do things to impact the campus and look for the greater good of the community?
The son of chief explains multiple traditions during tapping day. He says becoming an Iron Arrow is much deeper than learning the university's history.
Of course, the son of chief, which is me, takes the line around campus and holds the arrow in front and then walks up to the new tappies, taps them physically with the arrow and then brings them back to the chief at the mound. The members sort of congregate around the mound, which is the area on the green where we have the fire pit, and then this actually is cement structure in the shape of Florida, and then where the new tappies are brought in front of the chief to be tapped into the society.
The original purpose of the Iron Arrow Society was to honor only male students who contributed to the glory, fame, and growth of the university. However, after a feminist movement, Iron Arrow was put on pause, and it wasn't until February of 1985, under Edward T. Foote's presidency, where the first female was tapped into Iron Arrow.
When they started letting women in, they made a great initiative of backlogging all of the women that came through the university and trying to make sure that they caught people who they should have caught in previous years. With regards to empowering women, we've always had empowering women at the university.
The fall of 2016 tapping class included big names like men's basketball head coach Jim Larinaga and quarterback Brad Kaya. Keep an eye out for the spring of 2017's tapping class as this tradition continues to grow. Reporting for UMTV, I'm Chantel Batista. But this year, Miami Beach police are enforcing stricter regulation. I went to Miami Beach to see what those changes are. Miami is known for its good weather, beautiful beaches, and notorious nightlife. Miami Beach has been consistently ranked amongst the best spring break destinations in the world. According to Local 10 News, last year authorities expected around 135,000 tourists in the city of Miami during the spring break period, from roughly March 3rd to April 16th. The majority of the expected visitors are millennials. But besides all the tourists in the streets of Miami during spring break, there are also more police officers than usual.
But it's a lot of police down here by the spring breakers. I don't know why. I guess they think we're bad people or something.
You know, a lot of cops are posted up at each point because they don't want people, you know, bringing alcohol on the beach. They checked all of our bags each time we did go on the beach.
With thousands of spring breakers coming from across the country, the City of Miami Beach Police Department has new protocol in place for the month of March.
So we don't allow things like coolers, things like tents, tables, big items like that. We don't allow them onto the beach, certainly not alcohol. We have a team of goodwill ambassadors. Those are volunteers from the city who actually are there reminding people of the do's and don'ts on Miami Beach.
Some residents are happy about the strict rules officers are enforcing.
So I've lived in Miami for 4 years now, and this was my third time spending spring break here. And it was a lot calmer because there was more of a police presence in the area.
According to the Miami New Times, by the second week of the spring break period, the city had 20 arrests. This is seen as a drastic improvement compared to last year's 35 arrests alone during the first week. Officers say that while the number of total arrests have decreased, it's still a long way to go before the police officers put a stop to all inappropriate activity.